thought that we were going to have a workshop, you know, like a table with 12 people around the table, and I'm very happy to see that. I hadn't imagined it like this. When I asked the speakers, the people who are going to be presenting the subject, to get ready for this workshop, I told them, don't prepare any PowerPoint presentations, because this is not going to be like a formal thing with a screen, and it is a formal thing. So there are no PowerPoint presentations. The idea is to keep it as well, to have a dialogue, to discuss the subjects and there are two microphones there. They are not like roving microphones, so you have to get up and speak when you want to say something. I've tried to leave enough time for discussion. That's what everybody says, and then there is not enough time for discussion. We are going to have a coffee break that's what we have, part 1 and part 2. Well, just to introduce the subject. The subject is cargo bike sharing. Now, how did this start? Well, we started discussing the subject on the LinkedIn group that we have, that was started by the European Cycle Logistics Federation. And there have been people who have been working on this subject and who had started pilot projects, and we saw that there were quite a few of them in Europe. And we started discussing this, and we thought that it would be a good idea to have a workshop. I would not like to say too much, because I'd rather have the different presenters like talking about the different projects, and then leave the floor open. What we will do is we will have the presentations, we will discuss them, and at the end, if we have enough time, we will try to single out the main issues that we think are important in order to bring this subject further. So, the first person that I would like to invite, who is here somewhere, Ahmed, yeah, he's there. I will let him introduce himself. He has, he will tell you he has a very interesting blog. He has written quite a bit about the subject. And today he will be talking to us mainly about pilot projects or initiatives in German-speaking countries. So,
thanks, Francesco. Yes, my name is Arne Bersen. I'm the lucky guy who isn't prepared, because we thought it's a little small round table discussion.
By the way, gentlemen, if you want to go closer to the audience, take the microphone down and just stand in front of them. There are also some interruption microphones. So if anybody from the audience wants to interrupt, ask questions, interact, please feel free. Is that okay?
Okay.
Have
so
fun.
I had 5 points in mind, and just give you a short overview on the free cargo bike movement in Germany. Second point is a national pilot project called TINK. Third point is other national developments in Germany. Fourth point is Carvelo to go in Switzerland. And the fifth point is the so-called Seestadtflotte in Vienna. 5 interesting points, I think. The free cargo bike movement, it all started in Cologne with Kasi Mir Your Cargo Bike. A volunteer group that thinks cargo bikes are ideal for cities, but they very much come from sustainability background, and it's about building communities around sustainability. So they use the cargo bike as a kind of tool for their broader message, and they developed a very good online tool for sharing. And Casimir, they gave their bike a name, Casimir, and they have built a very strong identification around this cargo bike. And they invited other similar initiatives from all over Germany, and really started a movement across Germany, across German cities. We now have around 20 free cargo bike initiatives all across Germany. Thomas is here, will give a presentation later on his initiative. He's much better informed on the free cargo bike movement. But that started a lot. It also started, my second point, a national pilot project that's funded by the National Ministry for Transport. called TINC, Transport Initiative of Sustainable Communities. They will start with 2 sharing systems in the city of Konstanz in the south of Germany and Norderstedt close to Hamburg with 25 bikes each. No, it's now reduced to 25. Yeah, the process, they are still looking for people to run the system, and actually they haven't decided yet on the bikes. It should be 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers, and it should be station-based. So both cities have only 100,000 inhabitants, so 25 cargo bikes are that's quite a significant start. So these will be 2 very important projects to watch in Germany. Other national developments on the national sheet in Germany is cities like Hamburg and Stuttgart have said officially we want to integrate cargo bikes in our normal bike sharing schemes. There haven't been any big progress on it, but it has been officially declared. And there are, the big bike sharing companies are preparing for that. Some of them are working on prototypes, and we'll see interesting developments there in the future. We also have another national funding program by the Ministry of Environment, 40 million euro. The deadline for application was yesterday. There are 4 main points, and one of them is transport by bikes. And within this transport by bikes, there are 2 main points: cargo bike sharing and city logistics with cargo bikes. And so there is funding. I know there have been people applying for cargo bike sharing programs. We'll see who will get a piece of the cake. 4th point is Carvelo to go in Switzerland. I'm not involved in the project, but as it is a German-speaking country, and the people from the Mobilitätsakademie in Bern unfortunately can't be here. So they run the program Carvelo, which is, a form of saying a cargo bike is something in between a car and a velo, a bike. A very interesting, great program. Interestingly, they are part of the Switzer Association of Car Users, the TCS, Touring Club Schweiz. So it's actually the car lobby in some form that runs the cargo bike project through this institution in Bern. They just started in October with 20 e-cargo bikes stationed with a host system. So there is a host in a cafe, in a bar, in a bookshop. You can easily book them online. The price for the first hour is quite comparatively high. It's 5 francs, and then it goes down to, I don't know, and maximum is 72 hours, I think. And they just started the program also in Basel, and we have Michel from Obst und Gemüse. He is involved in the project. He's the one who is selling the bikes. He can tell more about that, maybe others as well.
Is founded or is founded from municipality or state? Or?
Michel?
No, the project is I have the sorry. There's mixed funding for that project.
It's the city of Basel, no, the canton of Basel, who is funding how much? How much do they fund it with?
I don't know.
Okay.
Too little.
Stadt Bern. They had the funding partners are this mobility academy that Anna was talking about. They are funded by the Touring Club Switzerland, and then the Stadt Bern, so the city of Bern, and then BLS, which is a regional railway society. They are the operators of the S-Bahn. and the TCS, the Touring Club Suisse, directly, not through Mobility. So there's a mixed funding.
In Basel, in Bern, they brand the bikes. So you have a TCS branded Urban Arrow there. I was riding it. It's big fun. In Bern they have Urban Arrow, they have the German Riese and Müller Load, and they have a Butchers and Bicycle. And they also have an Omnium, I think. And in Basel it's mostly so Backfeeds NL and Riese and Müller.
And they are all e-bikes, huh? Because that was one of, I think so, no? Yeah. Because initially it was a project about e-bikes. I mean, they really wanted to test, so all of the cargo bikes are electric. Okay.
And the last point is Vienna Seestadtflotte. This is interesting from a technical point of view because it's the first fully automized station-based cargo bike sharing system. Actually, 4 cargo bikes have been, e-cargo bikes have been integrated into a bike sharing scheme of around 40, 30 bikes, some of them pedelecs, and 4 e-cargo bikes. Easy Cargos by Artia. And the Swiss company doing the stations is Cube. It's Austrian, sorry, Austrian. That's it from my side.
If you have any comments now, or if you want to ask something, otherwise we will go to shit. It's late. I don't see anything. To David, maybe if you could come, David, to talk about the experience in London. But that's again, it's only if you don't have any questions or comments at this point in time. Then maybe we can. Now we're going to London.
Hello. Story of my life. No plan, no words, and no slides. Is it? Okay. So we're a London Bike Hub. We do a lot more than just cargo bikes. We do bike recycling, training people to cycle, fixing bikes. And we fell into cyclologistics by accident a few years ago. So by moving equipment to our events, to our exhibitions, we just use trailers and some cargo bikes. And word begins to spread now, and about 3 years ago we tried to get businesses to use our bikes, but no one's interested. We soon worked out that people were too busy running their businesses and wanted to also use them. So we started to work with them to actually, well, we will do the work for you, we will pedal the bicycles, and it's slowly getting there. And 2 years ago, we really tried to push the cargo bike sharing. We did it for free, so people could borrow Christiana and experience it. People were very interested in kind of doing it for a short amount of time, for someone said 2 hours, 3 hours, but we wanted people to do it for 2 days, 3 days, and really try and go car free. And that's sort of working. It's not big at the moment. In English we say pushing water uphill. It is difficult. But it's not as unusual as it once was. So 5 years ago, it was me and Paul with our 2 cargo bikes in London, and now there's a bit more, and it's not, we can always tell now because it's not a talking point. People don't always say, what's that bike? It's now far more normal and accepted. Almost, not quite.
Yeah.
But we have problems. I think last night we were talking to some London people and how negative English people are. But we have some problems. So congestion in London, people love their cars, and people also love electric cars. And that is going to be our next big problem, that people will ignore cargo bikes and go straight to electric vehicles.
And David, those people who do use the cargo bikes that you're offering, what do they use them for?
Anything and everything.
Yeah, but
Children. Can't hear, sorry. So what do they use them for? Sorry. Okay, sorry. That's much better, yeah. So you said, what do you use them for?
Yeah.
Anything and everything. We have small businesses who are painters and decorators, plumbers, children being moved about is very common, So in the UK, everyone transports their children by car for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Move by bike, so much more fun. The children love it, parents like it as well.
Okay. Do we have any comments or questions about the subject, about what Arne was telling us about the projects in Vienna, in Switzerland? There's a question there.
Are we already collecting data on the use of cargo bikes, etc.? Because we saw a lot of, by Mr. Kramer, we saw a lot of figures, especially on motorized vehicles, not on cargo bikes. So we need to show figures of how many times we are used, so we can influence politicians to say, look, this is what happens.
Yeah, we do some data collection, so we know how many times a cargo bike is used and how many kilometres it is used for, but it's not always easy to compare it. So if we do a delivery of goods, that might be the same as comparing it against one van. So one van can do one delivery, we might take 7 trips on a cargo bike, so difficult to compare.
Just to pick up the point the gentleman mentioned about data, I'm doing a session this afternoon where I'm going to be talking about how many companies are using cargo bikes at the moment. I think it's 2:15. Come along to that, and I'll be talking a lot about that. It's about companies that are using cargo bikes across Europe.
And in addition on cargo bike sharing, as these free cargo bike systems in Germany are all online based, and you register, and then it's also can be tracked how often these bikes have been shared. And I don't know the numbers, maybe Thomas, you have more data, but it is tracked, and user statistics is good in most cases. Yes, please.
The city of Umeå in northern Sweden on the east coast also is starting up a cargo bike sharing program with in the fall with 24 bikes altogether, 3 different stations, electrical bikes. So I think there's another city in Sweden that's also doing that. I noticed it on Twitter, but I don't remember which one. So that's good. I wanted to ask you, I didn't catch where the funding is coming from for the London Bike Hub. Is it something your company is doing on its own?
Yes, we are not for profit, so any money we make, we put back into the community. So it is done by us. We pay for it.
Great.
Well, yeah.
Good for you.
Good for us, and good, maybe, yeah.
Yes.
I think because what is interesting is the figures. For example, if you can say in my city, 3 years ago, we have a percentage or kilometers or so many cargo bikes, and now it is increased. And then you can show in some cities what is possible if you are supporting it. Sure. And then you can see the results, and that can be compared with other cities.
I just wanted to add something before I forget on the issue of statistics. For cargo bike sharing specifically, it's not much, but before this project started, the Carvelo to Go, there was a pilot project in Bern by the Mobilitätsakademie and with very few bikes, whatever, which was called KAKI, K for cargo, K for kids, I think. Yeah. And they published the statistics because they tracked all the bikes, so they did very interesting work about what they were used for. They would ask the people, it was a sort of research project, so they asked them to say, what are you using it for? What are you doing with the bike, etc. Of course, the sample was very small, but the results were published. You can find all this on the page, the LinkedIn page of the Psychologistics group. There's a link there to the results of this study. Okay, very limited sample, but it's sort of interesting.
about the different scheme and cargo bike sharing system, if they are operated manually by human, or if there is some automatic system like bike sharing we have in Milan or in Paris that is completely automated. There is some technology that allows to pick up one bicycle without intervention of humans.
Well, Anne mentioned it. The only project we have at this point in time that is automatic, like even in Paris, is the one in Aspen in Vienna. That's the only one where you can. But for the time being, you cannot make a reservation. So you go to the station, and with the same card that you use for the normal, let's say, bikes, you unlock a cargo bike. There's only one station. What's it called?
It's the Easy Cargo by Hartier. That's the German cargo.
It's German, but it's good. I mean, it's okay. No, that's it. So I wanted to ask the organizers if there's. We're supposed to have it. No, let's leave out the comment. Otherwise,
I have a more general question. As Michael Kramer was just talking about numbers, I think it would be very interesting. We see the rise of cargo bike sharing systems in 2015, 2016 happening all over Europe in many different places. But what I see is a lack of numbers, so that we have no accumulated data, generated data, which actually suits, which would give us numbers. So we're talking about how many cargo bikes are we talking about, especially how many cargo bikes and sharing systems are we talking about? And my question basically is to Michael Kramer, would that be interesting for you, for the European Parliament, or would you have any mode or any person that could fill this gap and generate data and try to make numbers or to find numbers for us? Because I see it in the political scene, and as a European Parliament, it would be interesting to have a person there who accumulates and generates data and finds data in that field as a question or statement.
Promised.
Of course, we have the possibility to ask for a study, and that is a good idea. And when we make it, because it's a good opportunity to realize it. And then we have different figures from different countries, and of course, when you see, and you can say, okay, look, they've invested, for example, 100,000 euros, but then they've done this. Look, if you build a highway, you are thinking not for 100,000, you are thinking for 100 million euros, and what is the effect?
Thank you very much.
We're also from England. We operate a not-for-profit social enterprise like Bike Shop. We have a loan scheme rather than a shared scheme. I think underlying all of this is the idea that we're trying to normalise the cargo bike, so that it's not seen as something unusual, novel, weird. When we first got it, it felt like we landed from Mars, with people staring at us so much. But to have an impact, what we do is we loan the bike for 2 months to businesses, so they can fully understand how they can integrate it into their operations, or they can explore new opportunities using a cargo bike. And I suppose the challenge then, we just loan the bikes out, we see it as an investment. The challenge for others is how can you find the money to fund it in other places? Nothing is free. It's also it's branded as well. We use open arrows. There's our bikes. The box is branded for the company. And we also do induction of the staff. And we also maintain the bikes. If they need any repairs once they're on loan. And we have had the bike out constantly. We now have 12 users in 12 users in 12 months. So we have 2 bikes actually. So we've had one bike purchased where one company has replaced a van, and we have one delivery contract because we also do last mile deliveries from it. And we have lots of very interested. What we find that the downside is some people just do see it as a novelty. Particularly in England, people say bicycle is a novelty in England. That's not a cargo bike. It's a strange person on a bicycle. So that some people put it in their shop window or something. They don't take it out and ride it around. But most of them do. We had a local pharmacy really interested. And for a cargo bike, pharmacies delivering local prescriptions that I do. I do. So yeah, we get some feedback about distance, how it's being used. But overall, it's about let's make these things normal. Let's not make them strange. That's the purpose.
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask all of you. We're supposed to have a coffee break, but I'm all for continuing. But if you want to have a coffee break, I don't want to keep you from. You want to smoke. You don't want a coffee break. You want to go out for a snog. That's what you want. Yeah. Okay. So let's have a coffee break, but let's keep it short because otherwise we won't be able to have enough time to discuss. Okay. Thanks a lot.